It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another Real Estate Breakfast podcast as we talk your property news and information from Cairns to Perth. And good morning to wherever you might be listening to us this morning, as we take a closer look at property from multiple angles, because not all real estate news stories are the same, which is why we talk to real estate professionals from around the country to get the bigger picture from multiple sources. It's one of the things that does make us a little unique, because we are not a real estate company. We are not trying to sell you anything, just in part plenty of real estate news and data trends as they evolve across our 2025 year. It is a Thursday. Gee, where has the working week gone? Rapidly disappearing. And it is May the 15th today. Hey, I don't know if this has happened to you before. I am so cautious now about scammers. The trust factor has slowly eroded due to social media. So yesterday the phone rings and this pleasant-sounding woman says, "Hello, who is this?" To which I replied, "Don't you know who you just called?" She said, "I was cleaning out my phone and came across this group chat and you were in it. So who are you?" "Oh yeah, well, just delete me off your group chat is probably the best answer." To which she said, "Are you sure?" "Yep, I am sure." Then I said goodbye. But at no point did she tell me who she was or introduce herself. Her voice didn't sound like a scammer. And I thought, I wonder how many people this woman has got information from. So what would you have done in that situation? Better to be safe than sorry. Otherwise you say, "Oh bugger, I just got scammed." Let's right now go to Brisbane. Second time this week, we are catching up with Shannon Harvey from Place Real Estate. And good morning to you, Shannon. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. What would you have done in that potential scammer phone call that I received?
Well, yeah, scamming's everywhere. I think they probably scammed people 2,000 years ago, but in different ways. So sometimes people want things other people have, and you've got to have your wits about you at all times.
Yeah, so be careful out there today on our Thursday. Now, you are in Bulimba in Brisbane. Boy, this area, it has really started to take off. So for those people around the country, they don't know where Bulimba is. They know nothing. Cue them in a little bit in terms of your suburb, your postcode.
I like to describe Bulimba as a bit of an island. We have water that wraps around 3/4 of it, and it makes us very isolated from the rest of Brisbane in the fact that there's sort of one way in, one way out. So it's a really nice suburb that's very relaxed, and it's got lots of nice community, nice cafes, restaurants, and it's very close to the city and also can get to the airport on the highway to the beaches very easily. So it's a lovely place to live.
Yes, it's very close, as you say, to Brisbane CBD. It is, in fact, just 4 k's away and also does offer ferry access. And what you say about the water wrapping around Bulimba does make it a highly sought-after suburb for both homeowners and investors. We should check on the median house price right now, because I can tell you it's over $2 million, $2,050,000. And in the last 12 months, that has grown by 9.9%. Days on market around 50 days, and the rental yield on the housing market in Bulimba is 2.8%. Let's check on the unit median house price. Wow, look at that, $930,000. In the last 12 months, the unit market has grown by 14.3%, days on market 34, and the rental yield 4.2%. So I guess it's one of those suburbs in Australia, because of its price point, it is very, very hard to see first home buyers managing the mortgage required to buy.
We have a unique first home buyer market because we're not really in the price range of first home buyers. However, our suburb is very attractive, so it is a nice place to live, and sometimes we'll get parents helping people out to move into the area, or we'll get two first home buyers buying together to be able to afford something.
Yes, it is a growing trend because of the market we live in that people are pulling their resources together. And even in that sourcing, there is a mum and dad. So when you get people together, you've got double the income. That's the first thing. But then you've got the parents, not just one set of parents. You've got two sets of parents pulling their money together to help out their kids. And the RBA decision, that is not too far away. That is coming up this Tuesday. Will it be 25 basis points or 50 basis points, or will it go against the economists' prediction and remain unchanged? I certainly hope not. So what about your real estate conversations, Shannon, in Bulimba, and about those interest rates and whether people are just waiting to see the outcome of it?
It's always an interesting question because when they're lowering the interest rates, obviously the economy isn't overperforming and they're trying to increase stimulation. So you do have that juxtaposition of the economy is not doing particularly well. However, people do get excited when there's a rate drop, and it always stimulates the real estate market. But then often it quite pushes up the prices to a point where you negate that win that you just had with the rate cut. So I would always suggest people have a look at the market and what they can afford at the time, because that's the best time to buy. I wouldn't wait particularly for a rate cut.
Yeah, that is a very succinct way of saying the juxtaposition with a rate cut. The flip side is the rise in prices, and as you rightly say, it often does negate the win of the rate drop. So it's a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you buy or you just sit on the fence. And lastly, the best thing about living in Bulimba.
The lifestyle. We've got some beautiful cafes and a lovely community and walking distance to everywhere.
All right, I'll leave it on that note. Shannon, you enjoy your Thursday. Thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Always a pleasure.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
And right now it is time for another property tip, and we are catching up with Corey Skiberis, and he's one of the partners at McGrath Northwest in Sydney. Good morning to you, Corey. You've got another piece of advice for the punters this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Craig. I do, mate. I basically just wanted to touch on, and when we chatted last time, I brought up a tip at auction of saying don't bring your calculator out at those final bids, because you're just telling your competition there where you're at and you're almost at the end. Never before has confidence been more important than it is today in an auction environment. So just the tip is know your numbers and know your limits before you enter the floor. Don't show your competition where you're at.
Also, when we were talking, you mentioned that you walk around the floor and you introduce yourself to everybody. For somebody that is meeting you, what would be a couple of the things that you'd like to hear or maybe your ears prick up to?
Yeah, I mean, most things I'm just asking them is, have they bid at auction before? Have they got the experience? Is it their first time? Like those sort of things. I'm just going to really gauge where they're at, if I can count on them to make a bid, or if I can look to them to make the first bid, things like that. I'm a very big believer. If you're about to ask someone for some money, you should at least know them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey.
Well, we were talking about the luxury Dubai property market the other day and the many high-rises that are due for completion in 2028. So many of them coming. Domain yesterday had an interesting piece looking back 50 years ago to when a property valued at $1.2 million sold in Boomerang Estate in Sydney's Elizabeth Bay. It back then turned heads as Australia's first seven-figure property. Fast forward, though, to 2023, Boomerang sold again, this time for around $80 million. But in today's Australian luxury market, even that is modest. Nine-figure price tags are becoming the new frontier, with homes like John Simon's Point Piper asking for over $200 million. And as the billionaire wealth grows, so do the price expectations in elite suburbs like Bellevue Hill, where the median house price, if you're interested, now tops $9.6 million. And with so much of this new wealth around for millennials and Gen Z, it is set to continue. The rest of us just get to watch it, report on it, talk about it over dinner with friends, and probably many of us say it is too much wealth and the properties themselves are too big for people. And there's no doubt about it that we are getting away from the luxury market and it's being replaced by the ego mansion market. What do you think?
We don't just report on real estate news, we take you to the source of the information. We produce more property podcasts every week than anyone else. We are your trusted guide for all things real estate.
Yeah, and I thought that investors danced to their own tune. They were their own person and they didn't necessarily follow the pack, but maybe that's not the case, eh?
I have a feeling they really love the pack, and where the pack goes, they're going.
Yeah, no, that's probably a fair comment. And we talked about the buyer's agent's impact on prices, and a lot of these buyer's agents have pulled out, as we discussed over a week ago. I think that is quite sort of significant. I don't think your average person realises just that sort of net effect of what's happening with those buyer's agents.
Absolutely. And I found it especially a couple of years ago where there was a particular investor gurus where they would specifically say where to go to, and they had a large following. And as soon as 5,500 investors are seeing where to invest, of course, they all jump on the same ship. And if they go elsewhere, then this definitely has a lot of impact on the buyer activity in the markets or moving away from the markets where we see then a steady pricing correction.
Yes, and, from somebody that is working in the real estate industry, investor gurus, as you just mentioned, they can be a bit of a nightmare because they can undo some of the positive sentiment. And as you say, with large followings and people just following packs, that can dictate just how well a year can progress.
Absolutely. And what you might find is as well, where article has mentioned as well, where if investors see that everyone has moved away, they've made growth, they might decide to sell and take their capital and reinvest elsewhere, where we might see some more stock coming to market purely because they're reinvesting elsewhere.
It's the Real Estate Podcast, talking properties from 6 a.m. every day, from every corner of the Australian real estate market.
Moving to Darwin from the Sunshine Coast, Maroochydore doing it because of the numbers.
I'm not actually surprised. I think the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast have had rapid growth over the last couple of years, and it will definitely be a strategy that I'm sure people are undertaking, getting another investment property and moving to other states because of that.
Yeah, no, that's really bold. And I can sort of understand where their friends are coming from. When they probably told them, hey, we're going to move to Darwin, they would have taken a second look and said, you're doing what?
Yeah, especially if it's from a nice area like Maroochydore. I think that those suburbs offer a lot, and a lot of people want to live there because of lifestyle and, great investment. So I think that that's probably why the markets have shifted there so much, like the moves to Queensland. People want to be here and enjoying this wonderful sunny weather near the beach.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.